Live from the happiest place in the Lone Star State, welcome back to the Talking Mickey Project. TMP is your home for Disney fans of all abilities. Now, it's your host, Emma. Dancing, dancing, dancing.
Hey everyone.
Here is Emma.
Apparently the live was going on YouTube and Twitter tonight. We got to get the Facebook in the group. So I think we completely apologize to all those on Facebook and the group.
Yeah, we're not linked to Facebook for this live stream because there was an issue with that. But we are on Twitter Live, believe it or not, as well as, of course, on YouTube. So let's move on and let's say hello to everybody. So we were showing some of them a minute ago. Mike Klemovich, welcome, welcome, welcome. Emma just interviewed Mike yesterday. That's going to be coming up. You're going to wait for that one. We're going to put out a thumbnail soon so you'll know what it's going to air. Jonathan is here. Welcome, Jonathan. Dennis is here all the way from down under in Australia. Welcome, Dennis. Good to see you again. And Mary. Hey, Mary, how are you today? Good to see you. And I'm looking. There's Emma's mom. She's saying smash the like button. Share the link for Emma.
I can smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Yes. Or like that smash button. Whatever one. Either way works. And did we say Michael? Michael's here. Michael Hersheimer. Good to see you.
Monica here.
And I'm looking. There she is. Hey, Monica. Good to see you again, too. All right. Well, we have a really good interview for you tonight. It is with animator, producer, director, podcast host, and more, Tony Bancroft, right? Him? Yes. Yes, what?
Another happy birthday to you and the Australians in Australia.
I don't know, Dennis, do you guys celebrate St. Patrick's Day, which is the 17th of March? Here, that's going to be tomorrow. But by you, it's today, the 17th, right? Because he's ahead of us. So I don't know. Do they do that in Australia? Let us know. But yes, we are looking forward to St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. And Jonathan says he just became a patron on your Patreon. Thank you so much, Jonathan. That is very, very nice of you. That all goes to help Emma and her channel, right? I need a paper boat hat on the USS Emma.
I wish I could have a Navy boat named after me.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool, huh? Oh, well. Well, again, if you haven't liked the video or shared the video, please do and put hashtag shared in the chat. We right now have 4 people watching, which is low for tonight. But the people that are here, we very much appreciate because they are your good friends, right?
I know it's not because it's on Twitter, though.
It could be because it's not on Facebook right now.
Yeah, that's why. So that's why the number is low.
It could be. That is usually what happens. So before we get to the interview, we're going to show you and remind you, Emma is on Facebook. You can find her at Talking Mickey Project YouTube channel. You can like the page, as well as Disney Friends of All Abilities. It's her Facebook group. It's got over 309 members now. And then also she's got a website, talkingmickey.com, where you can find all the information about why she does the channel, her videos, and all of the social media links and all that stuff. So without further ado, I think it is time to play the interview. Are you ready? You're looking at the chat. How about looking at your friends and letting them know what's coming now?
Grandma here.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Grandma and Grandpa here. Good to see you too. Are you ready for the interview?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Here it comes. Mr. Tony Bancroft being interviewed by your friend, Emma.
Welcome, Nicky, Tony Bancroft, and Michael.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me, Emma.
You're welcome. Sorry for my excitement.
Sorry for her excitement, she said.
I like excitement. That's good.
Yeah, that's nothing to apologize for. I'm glad you're excited. We've been really looking forward to this. So thank you for the time.
Oh, you
Well,
bet.
we have a bunch of questions. We're going to go through them. Emma is going to try to stay on track because she is known for rabbit trails. So we'll try to keep that on track so we can get through.
You bet.
So here, you ready for number one?
Yeah.
All right. Here is number one.
When did you become a Disney fan, and what is your earliest memory of a Disney park?
Disney Park. Oh boy. I mean, I think my Disney fan, I like most people, I think when I was young, I dreamed of going to Disneyland. I grew up though in a home that was fairly poor. We didn't have a lot of money. A single parent. My mom was a single parent of 3 kids. And so 2 twin brothers, my brother, and then we also had an older sister. And so we couldn't go to Disneyland very often. We couldn't afford it. So it was a really special occasion. I remember the first time I went to Disneyland, it was like magic, right? It was like, the best day of my life. And I remember loving it so much. I do remember I was a little frightened though, because I was probably in elementary school. I want to say maybe I was 7 by the first time I went to Disneyland. And I saw the 7 dwarfs, and one of the dwarfs came up to hug me, and I got so scared. I ran away from the 7 dwarfs.
They had some interesting costumes years ago.
Yeah, they had these big heads. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
That's right. The evolution of that costume has changed quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, they're a lot cuter now. But yeah, they were like these little bodies and big heads.
That's right. All right, are you ready for number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, here's number 2.
You grew up in Orange County, CA, within California.
Right.
How did that shape your childhood and eventually
My decision.
Decision.
thank you,
Yeah.
To
to be an animator?
That's a good question. I didn't want to be an animator at first. To me, animation was a scary thing. I thought you had to be part rocket scientist really to understand how the mechanics of making a thing move worked, and there was this technical aspect of exposure sheets and where the sound hits, and I felt like it was going to be just over my head. So I knew enough to know that it was hard work and probably had some math involved. And so I stayed away from it. And instead, my brother and I both did comic strips, like in the newspaper. And so I thought I wanted to be a comic strip artist. And for years I was doing that. It wasn't until I got into, I went to Orange County, like you said, or I lived in Orange County. And there's a school out there in Orange County, right by Disneyland, Cypress City College. And I went to Cypress City College for a little bit while my brother and I were both trying to figure out kind of next steps after high school and, making a comic strip. And we met a guy that was doing cool clay animated stop motion. So one frame at a time, moving these little clay figures around. And we fell in love with that. We made a film with them that summer, and we were bit by the animation bug. That was like the light bulb moment. Oh, hey, if we could do this with clay, we could do it with drawing, since we already love to draw. And we found out about CalArts, which was right in our own backyard. A lot of people had to come from different states to go to CalArts. Yeah. And here was this great college that was only an hour away from where we lived, and we couldn't believe it. It was the #1 college for animation at the time. And we said, we got to go there. And so being in Orange County really helped with that.
There you go. That makes sense?
Yeah.
That does. I think so. All right. You ready for number 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's number 3.
Okay.
Along with your brother, you joined the then new Disney feature animation team in Florida at Disney's MBM Studio. What was it like to work there during that time?
Oh, man, Emma, I got to tell you, that was the time of my life. I really, I have a twin brother, and we're like best friends already. And just the fact that both Tom and I got hired at the same time by Disney into an internship that took us to Disney Orlando, Florida, and being a part of a brand new studio. It was the first time that Disney had opened a new animation studio in like, I don't know, 50 years or 70 years since the Burbank lot opened up. And so we were part of history. It felt like we were part of history. And yet we were like 20, 21, something like that, very young guys. And to be surrounded by everybody else in the studio who was super young, most of the studio, probably like 60%, 70% of the studio had just got out of college. They were all young like us. And so it was the perfect atmosphere of just excitement and joy. We would work late into the night. We would try and get into the studio on the weekends, and they would lock the doors, and we were like, let us in. We want to draw. I mean, we were so excited. We just wanted to work all the time and be a part of that. And then it was connected to a theme park. So at lunchtime, we could just walk outside and go on a ride or get a hot dog and watch the people. Amazing. It was so fun. It was the best time of my life.
That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
Wait, you got theme park.
Right, at Disney MGM.
Oh.
Yeah, the animation studio was right there. It was one of the attractions. You could take a tour through it.
You've gone
backlot tour.
Well, not the backlot tour.
Right.
When you go in, it's kind of on the right-hand side, right in the back where Star Wars Launch Bay was, and where you used to meet all the characters. That section is what used to be there.
It was right by the backlot, the entrance to the backlot. There was animation and then the backlot tour, so it was real close.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw it back then, but you probably have been in that area before. Yeah. But that's pretty cool. Well, good deal. All right, you ready for number 4?
Yeah.
Okay, here's number 4.
When you move back to California, you work on both Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. How was working on those films different than what you did in Florida?
That's a great question, Emma. You did your research, boy. I got to say, it was different because when I was in Florida, I wasn't animating yet. I was doing what they call cleanup animation or final line animation, which is really not animating. You're kind of doing the final drawings over the animator's drawings and putting the characters on model and that sort of thing. It's a great step to learn from, but I really wanted to animate. So what brought me back to California was that I tried out for an animation position at the California studio. So from Florida, there was an opening of a new job of an animating assistant position that came up. And all of us junior, wannabe animators did tests. We actually had to do some homework and make a test. And then it was judged by Glenn Keane and some of the great animators in California. Wow. And I won the opportunity of this new position to go back to California and become an animating assistant. First on Rescuers Down Under. That was the first time I got to animate my own character. And it was Frank the Frilled-Neck Lizard. If you remember, he was like, wood, all we got to do is get the wood. I had that high-pitched voice. And but then I went on to Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, where I worked with Will Finn on both Cogsworth on Beauty and the Beast and Iago the parrot on Aladdin.
Isn't that cool? That's iconic stuff, right? I mean, goodness gracious, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, and I was, I'm like, you can imagine, I was excited because I was at that point probably 22, 23, maybe. I think I was maybe 24 even when I got into, no, that was more like Lion King was maybe 24, 25. Yeah, still young.
And those are such big.
Around my age.
Yeah, Emma's 23, so
you can imagine. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And so that seems like it was pretty fast paced because you were doing some really big projects one after another.
I was moving up the ranks a lot faster than I ever expected. And, God had a purpose for me, I guess, because he really opened the doors for me.
That's awesome. All righty. Well, you ready for number 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's number 5.
I know you were a supervising animator on my favorite animated film. Our camera light in the thing.
Yeah.
The Lion King. What does a supervising animator do, and what do you like
most
and least about that role?
Oh gosh, boy. Yeah, so supervising animator, I was promoted. So after I did Aladdin, Lion King came around, and if you remember, and I'm sure you know this, that Lion King was kind of the B film, and the A film that everybody wanted to go on to, Glenn Keane and some of the big animators that were there for a long time, went on to Pocahontas. And so Pocahontas was that film that was like the A-list film. That was the one that everybody wanted to work on, but we were splitting our staff into two to try and be more productive, get more films out at that time. And so Lion King was kind of the experimental film and had all the like the younger directors, the least experienced staff was on it and artists. And but it gave me an opportunity to be promoted up a lot sooner than I would have if that split didn't happen. And so the directors didn't know a lot of, they were first time directors, Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff. And so they looked at portfolios and reels, like videotape reels of all the animators that were young that were coming up to try and see if they wanted to promote any of them to supervising animators. And so I put together a reel of all my Cogsworth work from Beauty and the Beast and Iago from Aladdin. And it was on this tape and they saw it. And I put a little note. I remember I put a little note on the tape that said, maybe you'll consider me for Zazu, because I knew there was a bird in the Lion King, this new bird character named Zazu. And I said, well, maybe you'll consider me for this because I just got off of Iago and that's a bird and this is a bird, you know. And I thought, okay, that's kind of the low-hanging fruit. Maybe I could get that if I'm lucky. And this was just a huge God moment for me in my life. You know, you can tell I'm a Christian, and I see God's, you know, moving in my life for sure. And that was one of those moments where they called me up. I remember being at home and the directors called me up and said, we want to consider you for Pumbaa, the warthog, and the sidekick to Timon, the buddy of Timon, and to Simba. And I was like, I couldn't believe it because I never expected that. I didn't even talk about Pumbaa and Timon to them. I didn't ask for it or beg for Pumbaa because I never thought that was going to be an opportunity that could come my way. Pumbaa and Timon were already at that point kind of the comedy stars. Mm-hmm. And so for them to give me Pumbaa was a big opportunity for me, and it changed my career. I was super excited. So the most, what did I like the most about being a supervising animator? I got to work with some really great, a supervising animator is in charge of that character, at least in those days. We were assigned that one character, and then we were kind of the lead animator on that character. We set the tone of how the character moves, how he acts, and then we supervise other animators that have to do that character also. So I had a unit of 3 animators total. And so I would go over their drawings to make sure it looked like how I was drawing Pumbaa so that it seems consistent, that one person, that's the goal of a Disney film, right? Is you want it to look like one person animated the whole movie. Right. Even though there's 60 or 70 or more these days. So I had to go over drawings and check out the work of all the other animators that was animating Pumbaa. And that's why I was a supervisor. What I liked about that was I worked with some really talented animators, and they would give me ideas for how to handle Pumbaa. Like I remember I was struggling with the side view or something like that of what Pumbaa looked like from the side. And one of the animators did a drawing, one of my crew animators. And I was like, oh, that's it, and I started incorporating what they were doing, what some of the other artists were doing, and which helped me to make Pumbaa even better. And then the least thing about that role is that the thing that I like the least about it is just that it takes a lot of time. When you have to do your own work and then on top of it, go over other people's work, you're there really long hours. And I did. I worked harder on Lion King than probably I had on any other film. But I loved it. It was fun.
That was a film that was amazing. That was the first film that my wife and I went to on a date. Yeah. Way back in 94. No, Emma wasn't born yet. But it struck home with her. It's always been her favorite. She used to carry around the little Simba when she was little. Yeah. And all through Disney World, if I remember right, one year. But it was just such an iconic thing. And what I remember about it, and I've always been curious, it's like it had real camera shots. I mean, it's like sweeping views. And I don't remember seeing that in animated movies and cartoons before. Was that new then? I'm
Yeah, it was.
with this question.
It was pretty groundbreaking at the time, and that's a good observation that you have, because we were doing things with rack focus. If you remember in the beginning, there's like a little ant going across a branch, and then you rack focus, and he becomes blurry, and then the background becomes refined and tight, and it's some animals splashing through water. And so those kind of cinematic techniques hadn't really been done before, but with caps, which was new at the time, which is now outdated, but that new software system that we use to create a layer system, not unlike how Walt Disney had with the multiplane camera.
Yeah, the old multiplane camera. That's right.
But now we can do that in the computer and have, instead of just 5 or 6 layers like with the multiplane camera, that was the restriction that it had. It can only go so high. So, but in the computer, we could have 100 layers. We could do all kinds of things. We could pan those layers and move them at separate timings. And, all of a sudden, the world of cinematography opened up to us like never before. And we can really have fun with it. We did.
It did. It was an amazing film. And it's still one, like I said, I know it's still Emma's favorite. I think it's absolutely my favorite.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. You ready for number 6?
Yeah, I think I know how old the Lion King would be this year.
How old would it be? Because it was in 94.
Yeah.
So you want to do math here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that how old I'm going to be this year.
Okay.
Which is 24.
Right. So 4 years, so it'd be 28.
I go 29.
I think it would be 94 to that. We'll do math later.
Let's
go back to
Emma might be right. Yeah, I'm an animator, not a mathematician.
You might be right. Maybe it's 29.
I went to school for art, so I don't know.
Well, and I got an accounting degree, and I can't do math either. So that's all right. Here we go.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm sorry. Yeah, number 6. Go ahead.
Talking about the Lion King a bit more, what inspired the look and personality of Pumbaa?
Oh, that's a great question. When I first came on the movie, Pumbaa and Timon were described to me as what if the Serengeti and if animals went to college, they would be like the 2 college roommates that probably partied too much, didn't go to class, skipped class. And Pumbaa particularly was like the jock. He would have been like kind of the dull-witted football player. And that's kind of, and then Timon was like the instigator, the party guy, probably.
Yeah.
And so when I thought of them as like these, odd couple college roommates, that kind of was the first time that we started to tap into. And Mike Suri was my good friend that did Timon, and we worked very closely together on their personalities. And they were a lot like us too. I guess I was a dull-witted guy too, and so similar to Pumbaa. But a heart of gold. I love that about Pumbaa, is that he's an innocent, and yet and I love also that when he's going on about I always thought they were balls of gas burning billions of miles away. When he says that line, it's like a little opening to, well, maybe he's not so dumb. He actually knows what stars are up in the sky, and Timon's like, no, they're fireflies. Fireflies, stuck on that big blackish thing.
You remember that?
Yeah. So, that was such a funny scene and a great scene. And it was scenes like that and talking to the directors that really gave me a great understanding of what they wanted out of Pumbaa. And then as an animator, and really an actor, we really think of ourselves as actors. We try and get under the skin, if you will, of the characters. And so I spent a lot of time with Ernie Zabella, the voice of Pumbaa, and I think that really helped. There was things that I picked up on in how he looks and put that into Pumbaa, and then also a bit of myself too. There's a scene where actually that balls of gas scene is notorious because I was inspired by my wife, who was pregnant at the time, because in that scene, he's on his back looking up at the stars, and he's kind of rubbing his belly. And I saw my pregnant wife do that oftentimes while we were watching TV at night. And so I put that in there as a trait that, a heavy set warthog with his big belly might just do that in a relaxing way while he's thinking and looking up at the stars.
That's cool. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, it's like you wonder in this. I mean, the whole thing of doing animals. I mean, the one of the I guess one of the things I've always wondered is how, if you're trying to do this, how do you split the line between making them like super realistic and not, and more cartoonish? And it seemed, part of that is, am I going to believe what I'm seeing is a real character, it has a real personality,
Yeah, I mean, we call that anthropomorphication. It's a fancy word for personifying, giving human traits, human emotions to an animal or an inanimate object. We did that with Cogsworth and Lumiere and those characters too. But that's kind of a Disney mainstay that goes back in the history of Disney, of course, is like with Jiminy Cricket and things like that. How do you give a cricket, these which are pretty ugly to look at in real life, how do you caricaturize it, kind of humanize it so that it's appealing and relational to the audience? We want our audience to relate to these characters, not just as a warthog and a meerkat, but more so like characters that they would know, somebody that they would go to school with, somebody they could really connect with or be friends with.
That makes sense. All righty, you ready for number 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Here is number 7.
Later in your career, you got the opportunity to be a director of Mulan.
Right.
What does an animation director do? Did you like it as much as being an animator?
Oh man, that's a good question too. Oh, excuse me. Let me just move that a little bit. That was a huge thing for me too. And Emma, as your dad was just pointing out too, I was pretty young, and particularly young when I got asked to direct on Mulan. I had risen up through the ranks pretty quick from, a cleanup artist to an assistant animator to an animator to a supervised animator. And now I was being asked to be a co-director on a Disney feature. And I was 27 at the time.
Wow. Yeah.
And probably the youngest director in Disney history when they asked me. And it meant going back to Florida. I was in Burbank, California at the time. And I was married and I had one child and one child on the way. So it was a big deal. But like that moment I was telling you about when they asked me to animate Pumbaa, it was life-changing. It was one of those like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're asking me to be a director for a Disney feature. I was so excited. I was petrified at the same time. I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm doing. And so it was such an exciting and scary time for me, kind of both really. And an animation director, to answer that part of the question is, we're really in charge of every element of making the film, just like a live action director is. I like to say we're like a live action director, but we do our jobs in slow motion, 24 frames a second. So we have greater control and it takes longer. It's a longer process. But, from working with the script writers to recording voices to working with the animators and the production team, all the way to final score and sound effects, we're involved with every creative aspect of the filmmaking process. And do I like it? Oh, yes. I mean, I don't know if I love it as much as I do an animator. I fell in love with animation as an animator because I love to draw. And I still draw, I still animate as all the time. Like I said, I'm animating on a project right now. And so I would animate probably far more and at the drop of a hat if anybody asked me to. Whereas directing, there's definitely headaches involved. There's a lot more social pressure and politics involved. So I really it has to be the right project for me to get involved as a director. But I love doing that too because I love telling stories.
Yeah,
and that's what you get to do as a director is be a storyteller.
Shape the whole story. Yeah,
that's
cool. All righty, you ready? What?
Fun fact: Mulan came out the same year I was born.
Oh, what did it?
Born in '98. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Emma,
special.
I don't know if this is controversial or not, but Emma has she likes the animated versions and not the live action remakes quite as much.
Oh, I mean, no, I think the controversy is why are they making those? And I've been asked that so many times. How I feel about that. But no, I think most people really like the original versions. I've been told that a lot, so I appreciate that, Emma.
I think Emma's a Disney purist. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Wait,
right.
I do have a question though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another YouTuber I watched was talking about an unused concept from custom Encanto. And apparently it was like the old animation style.
An
Oh.
unused concept for what?
For
From
Encanto?
Encanto.
Oh,
Yeah.
Encanto. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And he asked a question towards the very end if Disney could bring back more of the old style film to theaters and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, they were asking about like why isn't there more 2D animation, right? Like in movies like Encanto and stuff like that. Yeah, and yeah, I mean there has been, I mean, obviously, you know, in Moana, right? You remember the big guy's tattoo and stuff that would animate. That was all 2D animation done by Eric Goldberg and Mark Henn. And you know, they seem to look for opportunities to bring it back when they can. But it's not on the feature level. And I know I get asked that question a lot. And I know there's a lot of fans that want to see more 2D animation on the screen. And all I can say is I think it's coming back a little bit. You know, I'm working on a sequel to Enchanted, which is a Disney film.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And they're making one called Disenchanted. I think I can say that because it's been announced. And it's got 2D animation in it to a certain degree. So that's coming. You know, I just did Space Jam: A New Legacy, which had quite a bit of 2D animation in it. So there's things on the horizon that I keep hearing about but hopefully Disney will make a fully 2D animated feature again. Would you like that, Emma? I would too.
There you go. She stays on top of things. So you never know what questions she's going to ask.
Yeah, I could tell.
All righty, you ready for number 8?
Yeah.
Okay, here's number 8.
In 2014, you and your brother Tom started the Bancroft Brothers Animation Podcast, which focuses on animation. Who has been your favorite guest so far, and who would be your quote Holy Grail quote guest?
Oh, that's a good question. I think about that a lot. Like, first of all, I you know, like you, Emma, I love doing a podcast. Tom and I just do an audio only version, although we have talked about doing video like you're doing. And this is a good system you use to do it too. But yeah, we love doing the podcast. I've done it for, almost 7 years now. We've had all kinds of guests. Favorite guest, hands down, Glenn Keane. Yeah. And we've interviewed Glenn now, I want to say 3 times through the history of the podcast. And he's talked about his faith journey, actually, which was really unique in one of the podcasts. And he's talked about Over the Moon when he directed that, and the Kobe Bryant short. We've gotten him talking about that. So it has been great, and I hope to have Glenn back. The Holy Grail guest, boy, I don't know. We've actually, you know, it's funny. We've satisfied a lot of our big fantasies of who we wanted to get. Most of them have said yes, or we've gotten a lot of people that we wanted to get on the show. There was a time I wanted to get John Lasseter when he was running Pixar. I know that that was a tough get, and it never worked out, unfortunately. But currently, gosh, you know, I don't know. I love every guest that we get from a certain degree because it's each one brings something different. They all have different life stories and journeys, just like you know, Emma, because you do this also, and you interview people and you realize, hey, everybody's similar in a lot of ways. We're a lot alike, and yet everybody has their own story that's unique also. And that's one of the things I love about doing a podcast. So we'll have to have you on our show sometime, and that would be a holy grail moment, right?
Oh, for her, she would freak out. She would love it. All righty. All right, let's go to number 9. Number 9.
You have also served as professor in art and leader of an
Animation.
animation school at Azura.
Azusa, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Wait,
it is.
I get it.
There you go. See, it's on his mug. Azusa Pacific University.
Pacific University.
Uh-huh.
What have doing those jobs taught you about the future of animation?
Oh, that's good. One of the things I love about teaching is that I get to dive into the stuff that I learned way back when I was a student, and I get to relearn because I'm now feeding the next generation of students the lessons that I learned, and by doing that, I get to relive what's important, what really matters about the nine principles of the 12 principles of animation, like squash and stretch and arcs, and the things you read about in the illusion of life that go back to the days of the 9 old men. And why do those things matter, and how do they help you in your work? And by doing that, by teaching others, I'm also reminding myself. And when I go back to the drawing board, like the next day after my class is done, I'm thinking about that now, like never before. Things that I take for granted that I learned a long time ago, I get to deal with now, and I'm always reminded of what really matters, and how to get that on the screen. So I love that aspect of it. But it has taught me about the future of animation too, because I see all kinds of new software and hardware technology that's come up over the years, and I learned a lot about that being an instructor, because we want to be relevant. We want to have industry standard equipment and software. And so, and I find myself learning from the students too, oftentimes not about technology as much, but certainly about shows that they're watching, what their favorite cartoons are, and anime particularly, which I don't usually watch. And they're always talking about the newest anime thing, and and just what's popular. I get a sense of what's popular out there by having students.
Yeah, there you go.
I know Pixar Weekly is doing the origin story of Buzz Lightyear right now.
Oh yeah. They had a new trailer out that just came out yesterday or the day before. It looks good, right?
Out later this year. Yeah.
It looks like it might be for older audiences.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Like around my age type.
Could be.
Yeah. I don't know if it's as, you're right. I don't know if it's as kid friendly as the original Toy Stories are because it was about toys and stuff. And these are more like, real people, real monsters, real robots and things like that. There's probably real jeopardy involved in that storytelling too.
Yeah.
So you could be very, very right about that. We'll see.
Good observation. All righty. That was number 9. You ready for number 10?
No.
Okay. And then we get to the fun 5, right?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You credit God for much of your success. How has your faith helped you over the years?
Oh man, it's been essential. I mean, to just the skill of drawing obviously has helped me a lot, but I wouldn't even have that, I don't feel like, if it wasn't for God. I really believe that God puts passions on our heart of what he has for us, and what we and I've always had a passion for drawing since I was a little boy, since I was 3. And my brother and I both, and we've shared that passion, and we've grown creatively because of that passion. And I really feel like it wasn't an accident that we loved animation and cartooning and stuff. I think it was for a purpose, a greater purpose that God had for us. We didn't know that. We didn't know that at the time. We were little kids. But as I've grown and matured as a Christian, and read God's word in the Bible, I feel like I've really learned a lot about how God works through us for a higher purpose, and how we have a part to play in his bigger story. And so I love that. I can be a character in God's bigger story through drawing and making animation. That makes me happy.
There you go. Emma has a mission with her channel to try to inspire people, to try to demonstrate what she can accomplish, disability or not.
Yep.
And one of the things I've tried to encourage her about is that she was born with a cleft lip and palate. So speech is not easy for her.
Yeah.
But I said, through your personality, through the fact that she's doing this, through the fact that she learned sign language. She actually has like 3-4 different ways to communicate now that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
So he has made up for that one thing. He may have, may have had that one issue in your life but he is compensated for that by giving you all these great skills and the heart to want to help people.
Yeah.
So
that's great. I believe in that for sure. And I think I could see that in you, Emma. You have a real light about you, a real joyous personality. And I love that you are a Disney fan also. That's cool.
One other comment I'll make real quick is when she was young, she was probably 4, 5, 6, 7, up in that age. She's been a big Pokemon fan and she's a gamer and all those things. She used to draw one after another. She would draw Pokemon characters and other things. And we had, these big plastic totes full of her drawings. And we've still got some, believe me. But that's not something she's done recently. And I've been trying to encourage her to go back to drawing because she would take so much time and then she would do another one and over. And she just wanted to get it right. And she wanted to, just to do, and she would do, she has probably 1,000 Pokemon cards. And I think she's probably drawn every single one of them more than once. It's really amazing. So I would encourage her too. You need to do that. That's the skill that you have that you would probably enjoy and maybe you could help people with.
That's great.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's great.
So there you go. There's the drawing skill too. All right. Number 11. These are the fun 5. What? You have one more thing you want to say? What?
Do you think Pixar will make a sequel to It's a Bug's Life?
To A Bug's Life? I don't know. For them, for a corporation, because, you have to remember they are a business, right? So money is always the bottom line. I know we like to think that it's about, just the fun of making these films, but they have to be successful in the marketplace or they won't consider a sequel. And at the time when they made that, they were swearing. John Lasseter said, we'll never make sequels, right? Well, now they are. They are, because they make money and they make a lot of money. So will they do Bug's Life? I don't know that it was ever that popular or did well enough in the marketplace. I don't think it made them enough money. That's my guess.
Just kind of enjoy the one you have, right?
Yeah, I do like that film though. And I'd love to see those characters, maybe in shorts or something.
Yeah, that's another possibility.
Oh, my Uncle the Lucky Rabbit.
Oh, yeah, one of her favorites.
Oh, Oswald.
Oh,
I see him back there. Yeah, I see him. I like Oswald too.
All righty, let's do the fun 5. All right, here's number 11.
If you could have a year's supply of any Disney Park snack, which one would it be?
Oh, I love at Disneyland in kind of the New Orleans area. They have those funnel cakes. It's the funnel cake. I would have a lot of funnel cakes, and I would be.
Emma's is just plain old butter popcorn, right? She loves popcorn. It's not necessarily unique, but she loves it, and it probably tastes better in Disney, right?
Yeah. They sprinkle some magic on it.
There you go. All righty, number 12. Here you go.
If you could live at any Disney Park, resort, hotel, or the one that were never built, which one would it be?
I haven't been to a lot of. There's some new ones in Florida that I keep hearing about. Like there's that Marvel Hotel, I think, right? I just seen pictures of it. And there's one that's an animation kind of tribute hotel. That has the Lion King character. Have you been there?
We stayed there.
Of animation.
Yeah, we stayed there in December. Yep.
Oh, really? Now, see, I've never been there. I haven't seen it. I've only seen pictures. I've always, since that opened, I've wanted to try that. So I would probably try that one and stay at that one.
There you go. It is definitely for fans of animation because they have, I guess it looks like early concepts of different characters in the lobby and they show how they evolve over time.
Yeah, I love that. I would love to see
It's really
that.
neat.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for number 13?
Yeah.
Okay. Here you go.
If you could only visit one Disney park in the future, which one would you choose?
Only visit one Disney park in the future. I have been to several of them. I've been to Euro Disney. I've been to the Walt Disney World, obviously in Florida, and of course Anaheim Disneyland theme park. I think I love the traditional, the first one, Disneyland in Anaheim. I think that's my favorite. That's the one that I would choose to visit all the time.
I think we've only been to Disneyland once back in 2019 for several days. We've been to Disney World. Emma's been to Disney World over a couple dozen plus times.
Now it's gonna be 22 times.
Yeah. But I think
holy cow, wow.
No, it's now gonna be 22 times, but we're going in June.
That's what planning here. But I was gonna say, I mean, I think this might be true for you too, Emma. I mean, if we could only go to one ever again, which one would you want to go to?
Disneyland.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Really?
It's got the history. We did the Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour, which is amazing. Emma, we had to keep Emma from telling the tour guide everything that she knew because she knew so much history. But it's just such an amazing park, and we didn't see everything. We were there for several days, and we didn't see everything. And it's something different about it. I think the scale is different than the Magic Kingdom. It feels different. Knowing the history is really cool, and I don't know. A lot of the attractions, the versions, I think, are just better, in my opinion. What about you? Same thing?
Well,
probably.
But we still gotta visit Roy because we only visit Walt.
Yes.
So we can visit Walt again.
We can do that. Last time we went, we took a day away from the parks and went to Glendale to do the basically. Emma wanted to bring flowers to the cemetery and we went to the Tam O'Shanter for lunch.
I love the Tam O'Shanter.
We went to Walt's barn. We did the whole thing.
Wow.
And it was one of the best days. I mean, absolutely was one of the best days. So she wants to make sure. We didn't get to visit Roy, but she thinks Roy needs a lot more credit than he's gotten. And she wants to visit Roy the next time we go to Los Angeles.
Roy Sr. or Roy Jr.?
Roy Open, brother.
She wants to go to his, bring flowers, I guess, basically, right?
I know. Okay.
Have you guys been to the studio? Have you been to the main lot studio?
We've been by it. We've never been to
it. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you guys got to get there. I think
it would be cool to do.
Do
some type of tour if they had it available or something like that.
Well, now they have Walt Disney's original office. They've renovated it back to its original state.
Oh, wow.
It's a very special VIP tour. I've had the chance of seeing it, and it's phenomenal. For any true Disney fan, it's kind of the bucket list. Big special thing.
So that's what happened to it.
Well, they redid it, right?
I know, but it used to be Walt Disney's one-man dream.
Oh, they had a recreation of it in Hollywood Studios, right? In Disney.
Yeah.
And they closed that, right?
Yeah, I think it's gone now. I think they moved that. But all righty, you ready for number 14? Here you go.
If you could build any Disney park attraction in your backyard, which one would you build? The Discovery Park one or the one that were never built?
Some of her favorites are ones that are gone and concepts that weren't built. So she always throws that in there.
Maybe Kingdom is one of them.
Boy, that's a tough. I mean, first of all, my backyard's very small. I don't think I could fit much of anything back there. But if I could have any size backyard, also, that's a tough one. I like Star Tours quite a bit. I've always been kind of a fan of that. And Space Mountain. I like Matterhorn too. So, I guess I like motion rides and stuff and kind of roller coaster kind of things. So probably one of those.
What do you think? Sound good?
I'm guessing you probably rode Body Wars when it was still open at Epcot.
She was wondering if you rode Body Wars in Epcot when that
yes.
was still open.
As a matter of fact, yes. I think my friends actually directed that, Kirk Wise and Gary Trousdale. That was before they did Beauty and the Beast. They created that movie.
Didn't know that.
And they did. There's like little cutouts of heads or something in the beginning, and I think one of them is mine. They
Oh,
used it.
really?
Wow.
They used it like staff and crew
Yeah.
and stuff, and took pictures and then animated them on a conveyor belt or something.
That's cool.
Oh.
Yeah, I only saw it like once, but I'm surprised it's still there.
Well, actually, the ride is no longer there, actually.
Oh yeah, the Wonders of Life Pavilion is gone.
But the building's still there, but
Right.
Disney is for like a playground now.
They're supposed to
Yeah.
be making a new play pavilion there. Yeah.
Okay, so but they took out Body Worlds. I
I
guess
think
that's
Emma was probably born about 10 or 15 years too late, because she loves all the history of everything. So when you talk about old Epcot, she would have loved all those old attractions.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You know, especially
Horizon,
Horizon. She's doing Horizons trivia soon. So that's one of those things.
Oh,
She does
okay,
a trivia show once a week. So she loves the details.
that's nice.
All right. You ready for number 15? This is the
Yeah.
last question. This is the big
Okay.
one.
Oh,
Okay. Let's keep it to
Yeah.
one person this time.
right.
Okay. There you go.
If you could ask Walt Disney one question right now, what will you ask him?
Oh boy, that's really tough. But I will say I'm a big fan of one of the storyboard artists. His name was Bill Peet. Bill Peet was legendary storyboard artist and kind of the artist and worked for Walt early on, like on Dumbo and 101 Dalmatians. He supposedly storyboarded all of Dumbo by himself.
Wow.
He was very prolific. He later got into children's books, and I actually discovered him first as a children's book author and illustrator and fell in love with his work. And then I found out later, as I got older, that he first started at Disney Studios and worked very closely with Walt Disney.
Wow.
But Walt and he got into a huge argument. And it's one of the reasons that Bill left the studio and has sworn he hated Walt. He hated Walt. And I guess my question for Walt, I've only heard Bill Peet's side in his autobiography about how much he hated Walt, and never really, I mean, it was just creative differences and that sort of thing. I don't think there was anything wrong with Walt or Bill, but they just didn't agree and see things eye to eye. And I would ask Walt about Bill Peet and what happened there with their relationship.
There you go. It's amazing. Emma's talked to dozens and dozens of people, and we've tried to ask that question at the end of most of them, and everybody has a different question.
Yeah.
Because you would think that there'd be, people would, oh, what would you do with this? Or what would you do with that? But everybody has a different insight on him and what they'd want to know. And that's pretty cool. Yeah. That's a pretty cool. Yeah. Well, that is actually the last question.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tony Bancroft, for coming on my show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Emma. It was my pleasure, and a great show and a lot of fun too, talking about Disney. And thank you for the time and having me on the show.
You're welcome.
Say anytime, right?
Yeah.
We love it. Well, thank you so much, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon.
All right. Well, thank you too, Kevin, and you guys take care. All right.
You're welcome. You too. Take care.
See ya.
So what do y'all think?
Yeah.
What was one thing you learned from Tony Bancroft that you didn't know about one of your favorite films or characters or his history or him as a person? Put something in the chat and let us know what you learned that you thought was interesting.
Including the comments below.
That's right. Put it in the comments. So what I'm going to do real quick while you're doing that is talk about Emma's supporters. Okay. So go ahead and put your comments in and we'll read them and put them on the screen as soon as you're done.
Yeah.
So first of all, we want to thank Bridget Langford, Storybook Trips by Bridget Langford. She is our Disney travel planner. She works for Storybook Trips, and you can find her at storyboooktrips.com, or you can contact her at Travel with a Langford on Facebook or on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And we want to thank Junior's Kind Note Cafe. Junior roasts fair trade organic coffee beans, and they're sold through bossabilityinc.org/store. All the proceeds go to nonprofit organizations, right? And Junior is a friend of Emma's, and he does an amazing job. Melissa drinks his coffee every day. And speaking of Melissa, this is Melissa's podcast, her YouTube channel, which will soon be getting more interviews, which I'm excited for, Beyond Disability Texas, and it talks about She interviews people that are with agencies, other family members, caregivers, to talk about resources in the community for people with special needs or disabilities. And then last but not least, we want to talk to you about all of Emma's Patreon supporters. John joined today as a Patreon supporter. And we have Miss Natalia, and we have Sir Willow, and we have Mike Klemovich, and we have Brian's West Coast Disney Adventure. All of them are supporters of Disney, listen to me, of Disney, of course, but of Emma's channel. So thank you very much for doing that. All right, and last but not least, we're going to tell you that this coming Saturday night, we are going to be talking about Walt's Barn and trivia about Walt's Barn from the Carrollwood Pacific Fairweather route. That was Walt's backyard railroad that he used to take kids in the neighborhood on rides and that he built in his backyard. And this is the barn that used to be in his backyard. It's now in Griffith Park. And we went and visited there. So we got tons of photos and we're going to have some great trivia questions. So don't miss it. If you love Disney history, this will be one to be watching. All right, let's put up some comments real quick. Let's see. Here we go. Mary says, great job with this interview. What do you say to Mary?
Thank you, Mary.
And Michael says, Melissa, ever watch Battlebots?
No.
There's a bot called the Duck.
No, he put my name.
Yeah.
He didn't put mom's name.
Okay. Thank you, Emma and Tony. Eva says,
Thank you, Eva. And Don.
great interview, says
Thank
Monica.
God, tomorrow, great day.
That's right.
Be great out there.
And Mike says, awesome interview, Emma. Michael says, great job, Emma. John says, great interview. Mike says, I never know he worked on Cogsworth, who is my favorite character from Beauty and the Beast. That is really cool. And Brian says, wow, Emma, you're amazing. And, oh, the information that Michael liked was the rides that he liked. That's pretty cool. It was a fun interview, learned a lot. That's true of almost all of your interviews, Emma.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? Let's see. I love how the list is growing. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, make a night.
And let's see.
I'm
looking.
I
got a bunch of comments.
Sunday.
Oh, Eva says, okay, I'm studying for the next trivia night. She's got this.
Yeah.
All right. And John says, LOL. Emma's mom says, I liked when he talked about the inspiration for Pumbaa on his back.
No, my mom said.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep using Emma's mom, though.
Well, when I talk about your mom, I do say your mom, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we got her account.
Right. It's just a different. This is an amazing interview, but I hope you enjoy the interview, and I will see you on Sunday, Australian prime time. So take care and have a great day. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Nana.
I hope you did enjoy, and we will look forward to seeing you Sunday, Australia,
Yeah.
Saturday in the U.S. Saturday at 7 o'clock Central. Trivia. We're back. Trivia. So, guys, I guess that is it. Do you want to say thank you?
Yeah.
Say thank you and tell everybody good night. Anytime today. Before tomorrow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And always, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Make a like, subscribe, and share this channel with your family, friends who haven't yet. Until this Saturday night for trivia, guys. Yeah, really good one. Night, guys. See you all this Saturday night for trivia.
Good night, guys.